Three characteristics of transmedia therefore would be: transmedia storytelling also has the characteristics of paradigmatic combination. One story can be introduced as a film and then expanded into a TV show, a novel and a comic book. The world of a story can be explored through gameplay and experienced as an attraction in a theme park. In other words, the story is horizontally integrated. A film, a TV show, a novel and a comic book each occupy a spatial position and develop the story on their own. Transmedia storytelling shows itself through a variety of media platforms, with each new text making a valuable contribution to the whole story. Put differently, individual content pieces are combined to form a whole story. Transmedia storytelling uses space-centered storytelling that reflects recent storytelling trends, including digital content. In other words, developing a story depends not on the traditional method in which the story components are linked in a linear manner, but on a new paradigm. This allows contemporary audiences to accept the story in an accustomed manner and experience a sense of trendiness and interest. Jeff Gomez has defined some of the characteristics of transmedia as follows. Number 1, content is originated by one or few visionaries. Number 2, cross-media rollout is planned early in the life of franchise. Number 3, content is distributed to 3 or more media platforms. Number 4, content is unique and repurposed across platforms. Number 5, content is based in single vision for story world. And number 6, effort is vertical across company, third parties and licenses. Next, rollout features audiences participatory elements including web portal, social networking and story guided user generated content. Henry Jenkins, on the other hand, identifies three characteristics of transmedia: narratives, authorship and temporality. Narratives. The constructed narrative world or the diegetic world, that is the world or the universe of the characters, becomes so big that it is necessary to make additional platforms. When the world of a character is being constructed, only a part of it is presented. There are moments missing from the source texts which find a release through alternative platforms of a range of media. Hence, we see that a story might be introduced through a film, expanded on television, novels and comics, and the world might be experienced through the gameplay. Example, Batman movie in the game style. A narrative features in two ways through transmedia. One, that the narrative universe is shared. Similar codes of representation will be used and shared. Example, the dark and somber character of Batman through all series and modes of representations. And second, the different components contribute different facts to the narrative. They in a whole contribute to make a grand narrative. Example, the Justice League characters from the comic, and some characters which have been represented through film give characteristics to the League in a whole new way. Similarly, in the example of Doctor Who, the games do not offer adaptation of the same story as the television episode. Instead, they offer new perspectives on the story seen in the episode, creating more narrative information and hence providing the audience with a diegetic world which is more wholesome to explore. The next point, authorship. Coherence emerges from a transmedial piece of work because the texts have a unified author. This means that in the process of production, companies would collaborate from the beginning to create content they know is their strength, and otherwise locate work to other departments like game designing, graphic designing, content writing. The auteur or author could then provide value and complexity to the work. The same author also provides legitimacy to the work. The notion of the single individual author may become problematic when a movement takes place from the single cultural industry to the individual industrial structure. This means that in a film division, the director possesses control for the look and the design of the film. But in the television, a director may keep changing while the creators and producers remain the same. This causes a line to blur between who the author is of the texts that is being created. This complexity is said to be resolved by thinking of the author itself as an institution and not an individual in the form of a production house or a broadcasting institution as suggested by Matt Hill. This hence causes a branding to take place under the name of the production house and not the author alone. Again, for example, the BBC production, HBO production or Netflix production or Doordarshan films. This has also caused public broadcasting to reshape in Britain, for instance BBC, and other European public service broadcasters like the Norwegian broadcasters, Norsk, etc. Projects get bundled up, the broadcaster becomes a content provider, and closer relations between content and technology develop, causing the narratives to be specifically and consciously transmedia. The next point is temporality. With the example of Doctor Who, the novels were released months after the show was aired on the specific series. Since the viewer is not encouraged to view content in a particular series or an order, the different production processes can interfere with the other. This in fact causes the viewer to be involved with the show even while it isn't being aired, but exists in the domain of the internet through gaming, interactions, novels, comics, etc. This gives the viewer an extended time frame to access an episode that was earlier broadcast on TV, now through another medium. A progression exists in the way the viewer is to engage with the transmedia as well, since the temporalities are fixed and closely associated with the broadcast schedule of the domestic broadcaster. Through the example of Doctor Who, it can be seen that transmedia has been used through the running history of the show. Internet was used for the website, which contained texts, images and short videos of the show. Later, the television series was itself relaunched on the website. Various online and digital television games demonstrate the fictional world with the real world of the viewer's lived experience. The content of the show was made available by BBC on short clips for download called Tradisodes, a prologue to each new episode. Transmedia hence involves the telling of new events in the same story world, unlike adaptation, which is retelling a story in a different media type. A strong sense of integration and coherence among the individual elements creates the development of transmedia storytelling practices.